Hello. How is everybody doing? Happy Labor Day. I'm trying to move the light so that we can do this without having crazy lighting. Okay. It's interview day, y'all. It's interview day. Today we're going to be talking to Punk Rock Polygamist. Woo woo! Thanks everybody for being here. As soon as I see him jump on, I will add him to the live, and then oh, there he is. Invite Punk Rock. Invite. Invitation sent. Okay. All right, come on. Let's see your face.
I'm trying. Let's see. What am I doing wrong?
It's hard. I struggle with these suckers. There should be like a little video button.
Okay.
There you are. Hi, Lady A.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Let's see if we got it. It's kind of windy today. Our tripod's like going like this.
You're sitting outside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came
Nice.
to the public library because it's got internet. We live off grid. We don't have internet where we live.
That's what I just saw that in one of your lives lately, and you were talking about living totally like you don't have electricity or anything.
No, just alternative sources of power. You know, we usually run on generator and solar and wind and whatever's working.
Wow. So it's kind of like camping all the time.
Pretty much.
By
And
choice.
then after we were through here, we're actually on our way to a picnic up in the mountains. So
Nice.
that's how we're going to spend our Labor Day.
That sounds absolutely lovely.
Besides talking to you.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your holiday to talk to me.
Oh, no worries. So how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Last week was a rough week. We had a Jack Russell Terrier mix Chihuahua that she was 18. We had her for about 16 years and she died last week. So that kind of stank, you know? I mean, losing your fur babies just sucks.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things we knew it wasn't when it was going to happen, or if it was going to happen, it was when it was going to happen. And even though you know that, it still sucks.
Yeah. We're sorry about that.
Yeah. Anyway, but today we're here to talk about you. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about us. I'm just kidding. So
we
for
have
those of
Lady
you
A here, you can talk. You guys hear enough from me. You can talk to Lady A.
well, Lady A, I was given specific instructions to ask you about your skincare regimen, and I know. What?
That's a running joke.
It is a running joke.
Oh my gosh.
Because people remember how people always on the lives used to ask you your skin hair routine or your hair routine.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's just happy life and probably living off grid. You know, you just have this beautiful skin and people comment on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, for those of you who don't know Punk Rock Polygamist and Lady A, I don't know how you don't know them. They are here on TikTok quite a bit. Punk Rock is also known as Moroni. Am I saying that correctly? It's Moroni,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Lady A just goes by Lady A. And occasionally the two of you will talk about Lady B. Lady B was the plural wife in this relationship at one point in time.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So, and I know you've addressed some of this in your videos before. But when you guys got married, did you both go into it thinking polygamy was where you wanted to go?
Absolutely. I was not going to marry him. I told him that I wouldn't marry him if he didn't consider it. And
Consider that. Were you raised in that, Lady A?
so I was raised in the AUB, but I was brought up knowing that I had to find my own way. In fact, my dad told me, don't ever say you know something if you don't know it. He told me, don't ever confess to believing some way if you really don't believe it. And so he brought me. My parents brought me up, actually, brought me up to question everything. So yeah, so when I questioned those things, I came up with the answers that I got, and I knew when I married him, well, I knew that I wouldn't marry a man who wouldn't live plural marriage.
Okay.
So, which sucks now because we're not.
Well,
Anybody who knows Lady A and I knows that Lady A badgers me all the time about why I'm not trying to enter polygamy.
that's just what I was going to say. Was in your lives. I know. I mean, I have been in your lives, and I have seen that come up over and over and over. Lady A, what would you say is, a lot of times people talk about polygamy and they talk about the bad things about polygamy. So what would you say is the best part about polygamy to you?
Well, it's after the initial adjustment period, and I think you get to know yourself very well
On a deeper level?
Yeah, and then not only do you get to know yourself, but when you become friends with your sister wife, there's something beautiful in that. There's something beautiful in having these close friends, not just friends, but they are closer. I used to feel like she was closer to me than my own sister.
Yeah.
And just being in the same family and having that feeling towards someone else. I mean, that's just, it's something, you can't describe that.
Yeah.
When you're able to keep it going fairly smoothly, it's very beautiful. Like, you have beautiful times together, you have beautiful memories together. It's just something that, unless you've lived it that way, and I'm not going to say everyone's been able to, but unless you've been able to experience that, you don't know what you're missing out on, really.
Yeah. Listening to a lot of your lives and when you have been on and kind of talked about some of those feelings and those, how that kind of works. The one thing I think that I have gleaned, and I've never lived that lifestyle, but correct me if I'm wrong. It almost seems like, I know as a monogamist, I've been married longer than I haven't. I got married at 19 and now I'm 56 and been married all these years to the same person. And, you almost reach a point where you begin to lose a little bit of your own identity because you're so intermeshed with each other. And you do things, I remember early in my marriage not cutting my hair because my husband didn't want me to. And people saying to me, why would you do that? It's your hair. And I was like, yeah, but he doesn't like it. And so, and you kind of you truly do kind of become this one person. And in listening to some of your lives, I would think that in a plural marriage where you two have your relationship, but then he also has this relationship with this woman, in a way, it would almost be easier to maintain that sense of self.
Yeah, well, it actually, in my opinion, it actually makes you become more independent. It's like you're together as a family unit, and you're going on the same page, but you're also, you also, that's what I mean, you discover so much about yourself, and you have realize that you can contribute in different ways.
Uh-huh.
You realize that you can, even though you're together, you realize that you have a mind, a heart of, you have your own values and your own ideas and
Your own time.
yeah, and your time. It's like when you're so, I just don't understand. I mean, I've been married to him for a long time too.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, it is like that, a lot like what you say, but
Yeah, sometimes I think she wants me to enter polygamy just so that she doesn't have to spend so much time with me.
Well, no, I'm not gonna put her in that boat. Come on.
there are so many advantages to having time together, but also having that separate time. There really is. And I think when you learn to appreciate all of that,
Yeah.
the together time, the apart time, and just knowing what you want, it really is a good thing.
What's the hardest part? The part that if he were to say to you next week, I met this woman and I'd really like to date her, what is the part at your core that would go, ooh, like what would that be about?
I've actually said that to her before on a couple of occasions. So.
To me, it doesn't matter. But I'm not the typical woman. I would not consider myself the typical, like, I've always asked him, what do you like? And like, who do you think she's pretty? Yeah. I've always been that way, like from the beginning. So
yeah.
And then conversely, Lady B did not like it when when we went on our honeymoon. I remember that we went to a mall, and I was on my honeymoon, so I kept my eyes just like this. I didn't look at any girl that was walking by.
Smart man.
But anytime out of the periphery of my vision I saw, an attractive woman walk by, she would be like looking at me to see if I'm looking, And so she was very different. Lady A always points out women to me and asks me if I think that they're pretty or attractive or,
Yeah.
Just, I think we have the kind of trust and confidence in each other that, it's not going to arouse jealousy in her if I express interest in another woman.
Now, if it goes to marriage, there's an adjustment period. And that is where I've had to deal with my own internal feelings of jealousy and trying to figure out how do I get past this. Or, women are so bad about comparing each other, like themselves to each other. And to just allow for someone to be themselves and for them to allow you to be yourself is a really good thing.
Yeah.
So but it does that, there is that adjustment period that you have to, like, at least the first time. I mean, I don't know what it would be on another time, if another go round. I don't know how that would be, but I do know that that's where my internal conflicts came in.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, I don't know that I could ever do it. I just, that I think would be very, very hard for me. But the first part of what you shared, I totally get. My husband and I have always been that way. I've always said I can appreciate a beautiful woman as much as anybody else. Yeah. So early on in our marriage, we hadn't been married very long, and it was the same thing. We were sitting in a mall, and a girl walked by, and I said, "Wow, she is beautiful and has a nice ass." And he looked at me like, and I was like, you can see that. Like, I see it, you can see it, That does not bother me at all. And so that part, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, but I will do the same thing with an attractive man. A guy can walk by and I'll be like, wow. And he'll just look at me and then he'll go, yeah, his abs are pretty hot, aren't they? I'm like, yeah, they are. So that part, yeah, the human body is the human body and it is what it is. And we're all attracted to people. But I'm with you. That's a very different thing than to think about actually being in a relationship with someone and sharing that kind of intimacy and closeness. And I think that's cool that you guys went into it knowing that's what you wanted, and that was your desire for your marriage. Now, you all know everybody wants dirt on the Browns, and I know you can't say what you can't say, and but projecting now that you're in a very similar situation as Robin, what are because she says she wants polygamy too. Do you think, and this is just, I'm asking your opinion, not anything that you know. And if there's anything I'm asking you're not comfortable answering, you can say that. Like, no foul here. But what were your thoughts? If she really does, A, do you really think she wants polygamy? And B, what kind of panic do you think she must be having that they're not?
Well, I when she says that she wants polygamy, I don't believe that she really does.
Lady A, what about you?
Well, exactly. I am not a fan of the show.
I know.
Just putting this out here. I don't like watching the show at all, but I've had to since he has to. Whenever I see her, I don't feel like she's genuine. That's just me. Okay.
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
If she really wanted it, she would have, of course. Now, I don't know what everything was like on set and everything, but I feel like if she really wanted it, she would have reached out much more to all of them. Mary was sticking around because she kind of got that thing going, but honestly, I don't feel like Robin was genuine she wanted the man, the relationship, and everything to work around her, but she didn't reach out to become closer to the other women. Yeah. And I feel like that. I mean, I know that there are women that way. I don't respect that.
Yeah.
And then I don't respect the way that he handled things either. Really, I just don't. I feel like he was not right in the way he handled every one of his other relationships.
Yeah.
I just feel like that he wanted respect, but he wasn't willing to give the respect back.
To me, it feels a bit like before Robin, and Maruna, I know you have talked about this a little bit. Before Robin came into the picture, and it was just the three women and him, it did feel, and we also only got to see a snippet of that at the very beginning, but it felt like they functioned as one unit. They had independent relationships, but they did function as one cohesive unit. And when Robin came in, I agree with you, Lady A. It felt very much like she wanted a relationship with Cody.
Yeah. And
she wanted that to be the most important thing to him, as opposed to coming in and making this unit the most important thing to her. And, it feels like that has kind of played out. We've seen that kind of play out in how that worked out. Maruna, do you think they're still together? Robin and Cody?
Yeah, I do. you know, just like everybody else, we may get blindsided just out of left field, you know. But you know, my prediction is that they've moved to from Flagstaff to St. George, because I've seen you know, people have ran into Cody recently in St. George.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, you know, that's where he wanted to move. When they had that family meeting, he wanted to move to St. George. I'm guessing that he ended up there. And if he ended up there, it's because Robin has family ties there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Southern.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know how much family she has living there, but that's where her parents were living.
Okay.
And, you know, before, I know her dad died, but I believe the mom is still there. I could be wrong on that. But
Is McKelty still there, or has she moved?
I don't know. And no, Christine. Somebody's asking if Christine is in St. George. No, I'm pretty sure she's up in either Utah Valley or Salt Lake Valley. So.
Yeah, Melanie, notes to self here, said that her mom lives there.
Okay, and Melanie would know.
North Carolina. That's what I thought. Okay.
Hi, Melanie.
I adore Melanie. Speaking of Melanie, she actually mentioned on my interview with her that there have been several of the sister wives that actually went to her dad for counsel when everything was kind of falling apart, and she was very professional, and I have nothing bad to say about Melanie. And she said, I can't say with good conscience who. And I said, I bet I could guess. And she said, I bet you're right. And it became a bit of a running thing on my page of, okay, let's play pin the tail on who went to see the prophet for counsel when all the marriages were falling apart. And my guess was Christine, because I said Christine would have had ties to her dad. And so it would have made sense that she would have gone back to Melanie's dad for like approval, because Cody was treating her badly. And then Melanie was like, well, there was more than one. And then I've heard recently that Mary actually request I don't know, what is it called? A dissolution? A release?
A release from her covenant. That's what I'm hearing.
Really?
Yeah, on the gossip vine. So I don't know. You know, I mean, evidently there could be falsehood to that, but I heard that Mary sought a release from Cody through the priesthood leadership. So,
wow. I would love to talk to Mary. She's one of those people. I know she's done a couple podcasts. She won't talk to me. I think she's afraid I'll throw something on her. I'm like, I won't. I promise you I won't. But I would love to talk to her. Not necessarily about the show, but just about some of her thoughts and feelings. And I feel like Mary in some ways has gotten a really bad rap. Yeah. I mean, she was a first wife, and I think that has to, you can answer that, Lady A. First wife has to be kind of a hard role, I would imagine.
I think it is. But I remember her and Cody when they first got married, and they were very in love. It just astounds me that what has been said and everything. I feel like, and then I think that Mary also dealing with not being able to have kids easily.
Yeah.
You know, so I imagine she had to go through a lot of internal turmoil.
Yeah.
And seeing her sister wives pop out the babies, it's not easy for someone who has a hard time.
No. I mean, you know, I'm from the Mennonite community, and in my circle, a lot of women have a lot of babies too. And I've had friends before that suffer from infertility, and even not plural marriage, that's a hard thing. You know, they go to church and there's someone who's pregnant yet again, and that's just hard, you know, when that's hard. And yeah, I think that Mary did not always have an easy role in those relationships, and was sometimes maybe given some flack that I don't know if she deserved it or not, but yeah. Anyway, why do you think Mary went for a release from the prophet? Like, she was already legally divorced. Cody had already released her, so to speak, because he was like, I'm done with you. Why do you think she sought that?
I think it's because she still has her core beliefs.
And that's hard to say for me. I don't know how much Mary is still involved with the church. I know she has a lot of family there. And, we used to hear a lot more news about Mary back when her brother used to be married to one of Mary's sisters, but they've since divorced. And so it seems like we don't catch hardly any news anymore on what's going on with Mary
But, like, knowing her from when I was a kid, she was always, like, I always felt like she was very kind. She was a very nice person. And I liked her. And I was a few years younger, but I felt like she was someone that was really a nice person.
Yeah.
And I became, like, her sister, when we were teenagers, became one of my best friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was a teenager. I've since kind of lost contact, but as a teenager and right before I married him, actually, she was one of my best friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It does seem like the AUB community, there is a lot of that, like crossover of everybody kind of knowing everybody else.
Yeah.
It's a pretty tight community. Now, you are no longer practicing in the AUB actual church, right?
No, we haven't been members of the AUB church for a long time. But however, I still have a sister that belongs.
Okay.
We still have nieces and nephews, and we do maintain some friendships. For the most part, most people just kind of wrote us off when we got communicated from the AUB. But so there's still, even though we don't belong, it's still very much a part of our history and our culture.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's me. I always say it won't matter what church I ever end up in. I'll always consider myself Mennonite. I just always will.
That's true. Lady A and I grew up together.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you still consider yourself a practicing member of a certain faith, or are you just kind of doing your own spiritual journeys now?
Kind of our own faith. What we're considered is independent Mormon fundamentalists, and that just means that we don't belong. We still observe Mormonism, but we just don't belong to any organized group or church.
Okay.
We have friends that we associate with religiously, and like for instance, just yesterday we had a prayer meeting on Zoom with some of our friends. I mean, since we're so far removed from everybody else, that's what we have to rely on to get our spiritual nourishment. We have to rely on technology. So there are people that we associate with, but
they're not part of any church.
Not part of any church. We don't have a leader. We don't have a prophet. We're just kind of out on our own.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Actually, probably the independents are probably the largest cross-section of Mormon fundamentalism. You have groups like the FLDS and the AUB, but actually the larger group is the independents. There's more of us independents than there is.
Oh,
so,
did not know that.
Yeah.
But independents are very, one independent to another can be very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. Would you, now you have been through a lot of churches. In my community, they call it shunning, but you have been outed of a lot of churches in your past, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had 4X communications. I started out in the LDS, mainstream LDS Mormon church. Got thrown out of there, got thrown out of the AUB, got thrown out of a couple of smaller groups. And I figured at that point that you know, I didn't fit in anywhere, so I might as well just be independent.
Was any of that because of polygamy?
Was I? Yeah, out of the, I was thrown out of the mainstream Mormon church for believing in polygamy.
Polygamy.
I wasn't even married yet. I wasn't even practicing. I was studying it, and I was studying it. So, and I've had some LDS people say, no, they don't kick people out for that. Yeah, they do. So,
wow. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, well, because it's a part of their past that they try to forget and try to sweep under the rug. And when people come out and start asking questions, start studying things that they're not supposed to, it causes a problem, you know. So,
wow.
So, yeah. And the other, I was thrown out of the AUB because I had a disagreement with the leadership. And then similarly with the other groups, I had doctrinal issues with some of the leadership that I disagreed with. And the last one, it wasn't so much an excommunication as it was just a mutual parting of ways. You know? Okay. So
yeah, that's fair. You just kind of left agreeably.
Yeah, I would say that I could characterize it.
So now I know we've talked about, like we started out with this, with you getting another wife. Would you actually be open to that, Moroni?
I would, if the circumstance was right. If it happened organically, you know, like say I met somebody, that person fit into our family organically. They got along with Lady A, they got along with the kids, and they understood that I have physical disabilities and that I'm not financially well off. And you know, if they saw all that and said, yeah, that's for me, then I would probably be open to it. But the truth of the matter is that that's most likely not going to happen, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm not really searching actively for that. If that makes sense.
It's been very hard for me to accept this.
That was going to be my follow-up question: is how are you doing with all that, Lady A?
It's hard. After Lady B left, it was very heart-wrenching for me. And I mean, she's still one of my best friends, and we're still close, and we still do stuff together, but it's different. It's different. And after she left, I was praying, please bring like 1 or 2 women, at least maybe 2, maybe 3, 3 more women that, you know, I felt like some women that would stay and that would actually want to be part of our family. Yeah. You know? So it's been a hard thing. I mean, he has had different women that have been interested in him, but no one who really was that interested. So.
Yeah, one of my first red flags when I start talking to a woman is if she doesn't want to get to know her, to get to know me. And I've had a couple of those where they express no interest in calling her, talking to her, getting to know her, and that was like a huge red flag for me.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions I was going to ask you actually answered was, you know, did Lady A and Lady B maintain a relationship after your relationship dissolved? And I think that goes to show the depth of the relationship you had with her, the fact that you're still friends with her. That's really cool to me.
We're even friends with her husband.
Yeah, we go on double dates occasionally.
And we do family things together with all of our kids, and we're all kind of like one big happy family when we're all together. But it still is different, and it still isn't exactly what I would call ideal, personally. You know?
I think that's what I would. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The only dynamic that changed is that Lady B and I are no longer in a relationship.
Sure.
That's the only dynamic. We do Christmas together, Thanksgiving, holidays, birthdays. We still function as a family, except for that one thing that she and I aren't married anymore.
Yeah. Like, we went to the fair, and she came over and sat with us and just visited with us for a while she was waiting for some stuff, you know. So
she's into knitting, and so she's
not knitting, or crocheting.
I don't know
the
the difference.
There is.
Yeah.
She submitted a whole bunch of stuff to the fair, and everything she submitted got a blue ribbon.
Yeah.
So.
And she got a yellow. She got a yellow that she's going to send to the state fair, or she did send to the state fair too. So, yeah, her work is beautiful.
I think that's one of the things that a lot of us would have liked to have. Well, I don't know. I'm going to say this. I'm probably going to get hate. People are probably going to come for me. I would have liked to have seen that in the Brown family. When Christine left, if there could have been that level of maturity for Cody to be able to maintain a relationship with her, even though we're no longer married, but you still have children that are part of I think it would have been so much healthier for everybody involved if they could have done that. But Cody, I'm just going to say it, Cody seems to have the emotional maturity of a snail.
Yeah. Now, I do believe that they play up the drama so that they can continue the show.
Yeah.
Honestly, TLC doesn't want to show healthy families.
No.
And that's why Brady Williams from My Five Wives isn't on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Winders from Seeking Sister Wife were only on for one or two seasons.
Yeah.
It's because they had no drama, and TLC wants that drama. And I think that Cody understands that. I think that Cody understands that he's going to get a paycheck as long as he's an ass,
Yeah. Well, I know in your comment section before, I have seen comments about, TLC allegedly for entertainment purposes only is trying to destroy or make polygamy look bad. It is kind of the point of the show.
Well, that's what I think. I mean,
and we had experience with TLC.
Yeah, TLC. When we did a short little clip for them,
like a one-off TV show.
Really?
Yeah. It was. They tried to twist a lot of stuff that wasn't exactly right. Don't you think?
Yeah, we found that they mixed and matched questions and answers so that it changed the narrative.
Yeah.
They put dramatic pauses where there were no dramatic pauses. They focused in on micro expressions. They used creative editing to tell whatever story they wanted to. And we weren't happy with the end product. At the time, the producers were, there was a rush back then because of Big Love to have a reality show about polygamists. And they did indicate to us at the beginning that our little one-off TV show was kind of an audition of sorts to see if we would be a good family for our own series. But at the end of it all, the producers told us that we were too basic. And that was exactly what they said. You're too basic to have your own show.
That's interesting you brought that up because, excuse me, one of the things that has been alleged through the years is with Sister Wives, people have said, have you watched Big Love? It looks scripted because it looks so much like what goes on Big Love, and which came first, the chicken or the egg. And I think part of what frustrates me about that is that if like for you guys, you're like, okay, so we did that. We saw the editing they were doing and we were like, we're out because that's not what we want portrayed. And I'm a little bothered by the fact that it seems like Cody has been willing to kind of sacrifice his family for the sake of the show.
Yeah. Exactly.
And even, you have minors involved with this. And that I like to joke around. I love to make fun of Cody, and I sent Danielle the cameo. I don't know if Cody has figured that out yet or not. But at the end of the day, on a human level, it's just sad. Like, it's just sad to me. And I know, I don't know who it is. Maybe there's somebody named Victoria Brown in your comment section.
Yes. She is associated with the AUB, but I don't know how. I don't even know if that's a real name. I don't think it's a real name.
Okay.
But
yeah, I've listened. I've
talked enough that I know that she's either former AUB or currently in the AUB.
Yes. And she's very defensive of the AUB and of the lifestyle and stuff. And so, I honed in on that. I was like, oh, she feels legitimate to me here. And like, there's some true feeling there. But she was talking too in your comment section about kind of that thing that the cameras have made this something that it's not.
Yeah.
And although I think there's truth to that, then you think, yeah, but look how it has turned out for them. It has not turned out well.
No.
For them at all. And, I don't know what.
I think Lady A asked Janelle if it was scripted.
I did ask her at one point, and she said no. What you see is what you get. However, knowing how TLC works, they may have put a scenario in there. What if this?
Yeah.
They had to react to that. Who knows? Who knows? But Janelle told me that what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Do you think at your core, and again, we are just supposing here, do you think Robin and Cody will stay together?
I don't know. Personally, I think that those interviews that they had done, and she covered his mouth. I thought that was really like she doesn't want him to talk. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want him to grieve,
Yeah.
Wow, stop it.
We're going to start a rumor.
Honestly, he just lost his family.
Yeah.
He can't express anger or pain or,
Grief.
And this is where I feel for him.
And she said, we've seen families in plural marriage where one wife leaves and the husband is grieving so much that the other wife winds up leaving too. Because he's so wrapped in his grief.
Yeah, and truthfully, how could he not love his wives? I'm sorry. I believe he loved them.
Me too.
I don't believe all the crap that he spouted at the very end. Yeah. I think that he loved them. I think that he was with her. He's not able to be who he needs to be and who he is. He's not able to cry about it, and not in front of her anyway. He's not able to express himself. And this is where I feel bad for him, because I feel like he really does realize that he's lost something, and he's not able to voice it.
Well, somebody made a comment in the comment section that putting your hand over someone's mouth. Now, granted, I'm not going to say I've never done that to my husband when we're fooling around. You're being silly and you're being dumb. But that was a very serious moment. And you could tell he was getting ready to share something that she did not want said.
Exactly. Here she's in control, and he's trying to express himself, and she's like, no way, you're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. And that's disrespectful in any relationship.
It's disrespectful, period.
Yeah.
We don't see the whole story. We don't see what's going on. We don't see what's tearing a person back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that he was always that way, but I think that since he got into that relationship, it became different. It almost, in my opinion, it was toxic for him and his family.
Yeah.
His everyone else was trying to make it work. Then that happened, and everything fell apart, really. And she is a master manipulator
Mhm.
of his time, of where he was, and now she doesn't have anyone else to be her scapegoats. She's got to deal with him one on one. It's no one else's fault.
Yeah. Melanie and I were talking about, he is very, he has shown through the years, he does want control of everything. And then she came in and she's very manipulative. And I think that's where I wonder if they'll stay together, because now there isn't anyone else to be the bad guy, so to speak.
Maybe that's why she wants to live it again. Maybe that's where it's coming from. It's like her own selfish desires to have someone that she can put the blame on. I don't know.
I don't know either. It does come off that way. They do appear very, very, you used the word toxic, and I think that's a great word. He comes off very much as a narcissist, and she comes off as very toxic. People have even called her a narcissist. It's interesting with him, to me, how even with the dissolution of all the other relationships, it always came back to how it affected him. Everything that he would say to them, when Christine was trying to say, this is how this makes me feel, or, and it was always about, well, don't you think about how that reflects on me? Like, it was all about him all the time.
And that's where he made his biggest mistakes, I think, when he stopped looking at what they needed and only looked at what he needed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no marriage is going to last that way. Monogamous, it doesn't matter. No, or any other type of relationship. No relationship will last if all you are is looking at yourself and saying, well, this is how it makes me feel, and this is how it reflects on me.
See, Lady A, this is why we need you watching the show with Moroni, because you're very insightful into this stuff.
I keep telling her that.
I know.
I hate watching the show.
Why do you read it so much?
I hear it in the background, and I'm yelling.
Yeah.
It makes me angry, I'm like, I don't want to hear this stuff, but.
Yeah, she'll stomp around the house for the rest of the day, muttering under her breath about
Yeah. And it's like, I mean,
Melanie just said she feels exactly the same way, so you're not alone.
I mean, think about Christine. Christine was one of the first friends that I met when I was a kid. Like, I don't know, I must have been 4 or 5 when I met her. And the funnest type of person you can think of. The most easygoing, the most, just a very giving, kind person. And you could see that she took care of the kids. She did all these things for the family at home, where Janelle wanted to go to work, I guess. I'm not sure how their dynamic exactly was, but I think that she was there. And that was a stability for all of the kids and the whole family.
Yeah.
Just to be able to be a family together like that, Yeah. And what did he give up for her? Like, he didn't give anything up for her, where she sacrificed and she made sure things happened, and she made sure that those kids were together and fed and taken care of. You know,
Yeah.
those kids know that she loved them.
Yeah.
You know, all of them.
Well, and I think now, I'm not going to lie, I had heard a lot of rumors about the inside of Robin's house. So many people have talked about the inside of Robin and Cody's house. And I was like, I mean, with anything else, there's conspiracy theories to all this stuff. And, you know, people talk. And I was like, whatever. But now that their house is for sale and you can actually take a tour of it, and you know, people are looking into how much the art on the wall costs, and that house is ginormous. I mean, it is some kind of house. I struggle a little bit thinking about them buying that house using Mary's money, Janelle's money, and Janelle's living in this like college apartment and in an RV. And granted, she was fine with it. She was an adult, but I feel bad for her because I'm like, meanwhile, they're over here in this huge house with
living like a queen.
Yes, and massive artwork on the wall and amethysts everywhere. And, you know, Janelle's struggling to have a place to live. And looking back on that, it's like, how was any of that okay? Like, you know, and we didn't know all that, of course, at the time. But now looking at that house, it just makes me cringe. You know, I think, how is that? I can't see any pastor, and I use the word pastor because that's my denomination, okaying that.
Well, I mean, okay, truth is, every woman does have different needs, but I do think that's taking it to a different level.
She hasn't seen the pictures yet.
I haven't seen any pictures. No. I don't know.
I'll have to show them to her.
I do feel like that, honestly, I feel like their family started falling apart when they moved away from being all together.
Yeah.
You know, that really was, and it's hard for women to live together sometimes. It's hard for the dynamics of, I know I have a friend who doesn't get along with her sister wife. She doesn't talk to her. They're married and they're still in their relationships, but this particular sister wife was one of her best friends. And now she don't talk. And every time she brings up that she wants to, you know what happened, and the other one will say, well, you know what happened. She doesn't. She honestly doesn't. And this is part of a problem within, I think it is a part of a problem within world Mormon culture, that people beat around the bush and they think they assume the other person knows what they think. They don't.
I am about that. Yeah.
Straightforward. I want them to be honest with me. I want them to tell me how it is, what they're seeing, and then maybe you can have a dialogue and get that straightened out. But
yeah, I'm all for hard conversations. I don't mind a hard conversation, and we can sit and be real with each other. Yeah. And you can tell me all the crappy things you think I did or said, and I can explain to you why I did or said or felt them, and say I'm sorry, and then we can heal.
Yeah.
But exactly. If you just walk away saying, well, you know what you did, and I'm going, I didn't do anything, then it's never going to get better.
Well, I think that when you're a plural family, if you're at least within close proximity and seeing each other daily, I feel like that's an important part of it. You'd be able to develop that relationship with that other person.
Yeah.
Because I did with my sister wife, and I love her dearly. Like I still do. And she's one of my best friends. Yet it's different now because
of like
I said, it is different.
Yeah.
It's like
I would plead with you to take a tour of the house. The comment section is blowing up right now. I know Danielle has done some searching about the house. So is History in 60. Somebody just said they have a friend that's actually touring it today. I don't know how that happened.
I'd like to hear what they think.
I would too. I would too. The estimates that I've heard are that some of the artwork and stuff that's in the house is upward of $100,000. And there's where I look at that and I think, come on, how, I don't know. And I also saw, and I don't know if this is true, Moroni, you might know this. Somebody searched Cody's, I guess, permits or whatever to sell at the shows that he went to for the things that you hold in your hand, that all of his permits are currently expired.
Wow. No, I haven't heard that.
I can't say that's true. That was just told to me. But I'm like, what are they doing for money at this point?
I know that he's got a lot of fingers in different pies, like a lot of investment businesses, and we know some of his business partners, but I don't know how lucrative. I don't know how much he's making. I don't know how involved he is. That's he's kind of kept his finances under wraps.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just an assumption that he doesn't do anything to bring in an income, just a TV show. But, we know personally that that's not exactly true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, clearly they've had some kind of credit that they were able to get that house. But yeah, the rumor is on the rumor mill that they just can't afford it. And that's why part of the reason is they just can't.
For like $1.6 million.
Yeah. I think the master bedroom has something like 3 big walk-in closets.
Why do you need that? Me personally, why would anyone need that? I don't know.
Well, and I would have a hard time, again, never been a plural wife, but I think I would have a really hard time if I were Robin living like that, knowing that my sister wife is living in a camper with no sewer hookup and having to haul water, and I'm over here in this $1 million house living on the high end. I don't think I could do that.
I mean, I guess Janelle might be more of a person that just wants the simplicity of life, though.
Yeah.
And there's that too. I mean, who knows why people make certain choices? I don't know their whole situation.
That's
don't
true.
know
That's
what
true.
they each individually want or don't want. But not every wife is going to want the same thing. And that's why one of the things that it's interesting, because when a man does marry someone else, it does bring out a different part of his personality. It brings something out that maybe you never saw before, like I never saw before, and so it's not a bad thing. It's actually, for me, it's not a bad thing. I know other people might have a problem with it, but for me, I like to see those different things come out.
Yeah.
I like to see, because I think that that's good things that come out generally, if you're really trying to make it
Work. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think,
and that's why I honestly, I don't necessarily feel that Robin was genuine in her pursuit of him. I think it was her pursuit of him, but not her pursuit of him. She could care less what happened with the rest of the family.
Yeah. Now, did you know Robin before? I know she wasn't from Utah originally, right?
My sister knew her. They went to girls' camp together. I personally don't know her. However, her stepfather is a distant relative of mine.
Okay. So, and was she from Montana? Is that correct?
I don't know. I
she
thought
did
she
live
was,
in Montana for a while.
but she was married to
To Preston Jessup.
yeah. So I don't know if she was actually from. I think she was from Utah, though, right?
Yeah, she was from southern Utah.
Okay.
Now I did grow up with Mary and with Christine, and then I got to meet Janelle, and Janelle is like really awesome. Like when I met her, I was like, I feel like I need to be friends with this person. She's so cool. I really like.
I think everybody seems to like. Christine gets a lot of attention. When she left, a lot of people became Team Christine. And look, the comments are flying here. I'm trying to keep up. There's a lot of people who are real strong supporters of Christine. And if you say anything, even remotely like, oh, maybe she shouldn't have done that, they will come at you pretty hard because they are big Christine fans. But Janelle just seems to me to be such an even Steven kind of person. And, she's like such a steady Eddie.
She's like a rock. She's like the type of person that she's grounded.
Yeah.
She knows what she wants. She knows what direction like, in my opinion, that's why I'm saying maybe that's what she wanted in living in that small camper trailer and in living in a small apartment. Maybe she doesn't want all the big mess of everything. Maybe she's the type that just wants a small, quiet place to be.
I think what she, at that time in the show anyway, the way it was portrayed, was what she wanted was her piece of land on Coyote Pass. And she wanted it paid off.
Okay.
And it wasn't paid off, so she couldn't build there. And I think one of the things, we don't get to see a glimmer a lot into Janelle being vulnerable on the show a whole lot. She's pretty, like you said, pretty grounded, pretty straightforward. And she made the comment, I can't believe I did this to myself. I have always worked my whole life and I'm the financial planner of this family. And I allowed myself to get into a spot where I own nothing.
Yeah.
And everyone else does. And I don't.
That just came through here.
It's okay. And I think that was one of those moments where we saw a little bit of vulnerability of Janelle saying, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have allowed myself to be put in that position. And yeah, I mean, I don't think Janelle would have ever been comfortable living in that house that Robin and Cody are living in, for sure.
I think she's just a down-to-earth type of person that is very real and genuine.
Yes.
That's who she is. And I only met her once, actually, and it was at Mary's house, and it was interesting. At Mary's house in Flagstaff for a baby shower there, and both Christine and Janelle came, and Robin was nowhere to be seen.
Really? How long ago was this?
2019.
Okay,
Oh, so not that long ago.
Yeah, no, not too long ago, but it was like Janelle was just very, like, that's what I mean. I felt like I got to know this person. I wish I could know this person better.
Yeah. Well, and she has said she would still live polygamy. If the right person came along, she would do it again. And Christine she said that on the show, and I thought Christine's teeth were going to fall out. Because, Christine and Mary have both been like, never again, never again. And Janelle was like, hey, I'd do it again.
That comes down to the core beliefs within you. Like, for me, like I said, my dad, when I was a kid, he told me, don't ever say you know something or, believe something that you don't.
Yeah.
So for me, it was...
Sorry, I had to scratch.
For me, it was For me, it was all about finding out really what do I know, what do I believe, what can God tell me, and is there a God? Because I didn't have any of that knowledge till I was 19. And it was interesting because like I grew up in the AUB, but I also went to the local LDS church. I searched for what I wanted, what was supposed to be true for me. And I searched for different things, and it took a long time for me to come to my conclusions. Some of the people that were there maybe took it for granted or maybe didn't have that soul searching moment like what I did.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. So if you allow for people to say, okay, I want this or I don't, then, that's good. You allow for them to have their freedom to choose whatever.
Yeah.
But
now, did your you said you grew up in the AUB, and I don't know that I know this. Did your mom and dad have plural marriages?
No, not when I was a kid. It actually, my dad did live that way when I was 17, after I graduated from high school.
Okay.
And it only lasted 2 years, and it taught me a lot about how much you can learn how to love people. Like so she came in the family, she had 8 children.
Wow.
She had 8 children. Her husband had died, he drowned saving the third child in that, it was the third child. And she's the one who asked my dad to come into the family.
Wow.
He was real careful on this because, it was years and years and years. I think there had been other people that had been interested in him, but they never showed any interest in my mom, so he didn't want to have anything to do with it, but he came along and she wrote down that, like, she wrote a testimony that she knew that she was supposed to marry him and all that, and gave it to, at the time it was Owen Allred.
Okay.
And then she left after she had my sister, who I don't really know. I know of her. I have never met her except for when she was little.
Wow.
She left right after she had her. Like, I think she was only a month. Her birthday was on the day after my birthday, but she's 19 years and 1 day younger than me.
Wow.
He called me up and told me about it, and he said there were so many people at the house and he felt like a stranger, but it was just hard. It was hard because that marriage wound up ending. And what was the hardest was I had become those kids had become my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I love them just like my brothers and sisters. And I would cry. Like, I still miss them. And still, it's hard for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
About it because you don't just put your life and mix up a life like that, and then I don't know. I always blamed it on the adults. My family's not together anymore.
It gives me goosebumps because you have, Lady A, people resonate with you because you have this massively huge heart, and it comes through just even through the camera, this open love that you have. And somebody just said in the comment section, thank you for being so vulnerable. And I think you open up an interesting subject for the kids. Looking at sister wives and the kids, that was so hard for you and such a vulnerable thing for you. And it breaks my heart a little bit to think about how this being so public has been to these kids, having their parents be on this forum. And I have to say, that's where, I said earlier, I like to joke around and carry on. But at the end of the day, it's a serious subject. These are people's real lives. And these kids 30 years from now might be sitting here talking, having these conversations, and I do think we have to be sensitive to that. Do you still have any contact at all with your, part of your siblings, or where do things lie with that?
I have the one sister that she and I can talk occasionally, and she has connection to my actual biological sister, but I have yet to really have. I would like to get more of that going. I would like to develop more friendship with the other siblings, because I still love them. I still miss them.
So how many siblings do you have, including your step siblings?
Well, my mom had 6 boys and 2 girls.
Okay.
And then, of course, through that marriage, that was altogether 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
then,
you only have relationship with one out of that 9?
I have seen one of my brothers from that other relationship one time. I got to visit with him. But no, she's the only one that maintains contact with us. She'll call my parents, she'll call me, she'll call different siblings. And then there's the younger ones that don't remember a whole lot, because it was only 2 years.
Okay.
But what I saw was my dad stepped into a role for those kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they clamored to him like he was their own dad. They needed that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she was unhappy. I think she was depressed because she lost her previous husband. I don't know if she thought that things would be different, but she tried to make my dad into what her previous husband was like. And that didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
That was weird. She wanted him to dress like him, grow his beard like him.
Oh dear.
And he would go over, and it's a lot of times the suitcase would be out on the porch, and then he would go in and he would try to work things out, because the kids, he knew how much he was needed there. The kids needed him. And after that, I was often, because I graduated a year early, and I was over at the house often to watch the kids so that they could go do different things. And so I often went with my dad over there. In fact, a lot of times it was every time he'd go over there, I would go over there with him.
Wow.
I could be with the kids and help out and do whatever, At the time when they first married, the oldest was 12. So the oldest was 12, and the youngest was, I think she was only 1 or 2.
Wow, they were young.
Yeah, they were very young they needed that. And then when things ended, well, she had, it's pretty sad. She had gone to the AUB and basically told them, if you don't support me in getting, like, being released from him, I'm gonna sue you guys.
Oh, wow.
And so they counseled my dad that he should probably not go over there anymore. And he still did, and it was odd enough, but he still did a couple of times. And both of those times she was gone, and he was able to talk to the kids. And he told them, I don't know what's going to happen, but with your mom, but I want you to know that I love you guys.
Did she, after she left, did she remarry?
She did remarry. As far as I know, she at least remarried once, but it ended also. And right now, she's not remarried. And I don't know much about.
I think she's still in the AUB though.
She may be.
Last we heard, anyway.
She may be. I know some of the kids are, some of the kids aren't. So I don't know exactly where she stands with things.
Just for fair warning, we're probably going to have to shut it down in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
We got a picnic to go to. We got to go pick up our kids and stuff.
I absolutely appreciate it. Well, look, let's wrap it up so you can get on with your day. And I have to tell you, I have really enjoyed this. I appreciate so much your transparency and you're willing to just chat. It's been absolutely wonderful. And
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. And Lady A, you make sure you look at those pictures of the house and you watch this season so that we can chat some more, because I would love to do this again.
So, we've talked for a long time about Lady A getting her own channel because she likes to do cooking. But we decided that at some point in the near future, she and I are going to create our own food channel.
I would love that. I actually do some cooking on mine. That's kind of how my page took off, was I made ham gravy. Do you ever make ham gravy?
I have.
Yeah. And I had cooked a ham, baked this ham, and I made ham gravy. And I did a video talking about, because big guy, my husband is big guy, and he loves mashed potatoes with ham gravy. And I woke up the next day and had like 10,000 new followers over this ham gravy. It was crazy.
Holy cow.
Yeah. People were like, what is ham gravy? I'm like, how do you not know what ham gravy is? So yeah, my channel does a little bit of everything, but anyway, Sister Wives is always in there in the mix. And then that's led me to some wonderful people like you. So I've enjoyed, as somebody who was brought up in a conservative Mennonite environment, learning more. And your channel has been one that I feel like I've been able to learn, some of what we see on Sister Wives, as you said, is not true AUB and what the men should be represented like. And I've appreciated seeing you come on here and your involvement with your children and your love for your wife and Lady A's input into all of this. And I just really appreciate it. So
thank you.
Have yourself.
Somebody said so close to 20,000. We should get you to 20,000. Oh,
there we are. There we are. Well,
right.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.